Hello, my name is Carlie from carlie.me, and today I am talking stencils. Stencils are masks and some ways that you can use them. So right here in my journal I've gessoed the pages and I've got a stencil which is actually dirty. And what I'm showing here is you can use some washi tape if you want to stick your stencil down and stop it from moving around, but I don't bother. But if you're one of those people that like to be a bit more particular, then that's something you can do. Here I'm showing you my paint that I'm using. I use cheap paint. My paint is really cheap and old. And this is my container for my palette. It's just like a shallow container, and I just use baking paper in there to use as my palette. I'm just throwing away an old palette that I've got in there that's dried up and old, and I just stick in some new. Sometimes I don't even bother throwing out the old palette, I just stick more and more layers in there. But I really, this is a highly recommended palette to use, and it's great if you're actually using, you're planning on using acrylic paints and you want them to last longer than they normally do. You can put some wet paper towel underneath your baking paper to keep the palette wet, like moist. And you can also put the lid on and stick it in your fridge or freezer to let the paint last for some days longer. And all I'm doing here for this first technique is to just paint. I've got my acrylic paint and I'm just putting some paint on the page. Getting some more paint on my brush and just applying it to the page. It's as easy as that. I'm finding with this brush, it's a little bit too small. I want to cover more area more quickly. Also try a bit of water. Nope, what I'm doing is getting a bigger brush. So I get a bigger brush and there we go. Now I can start covering the page much quicker. My paint is really cheap and it's actually probably 10 years old or more now, so I do need to upgrade my paint to something a bit better quality. It doesn't stretch far, this paint, because it is so cheap. There's not enough pigment in there to make it really stretch far. What I've done here is added a bit of water so the colour isn't as vibrant, but it spreads a little bit further. Bit more water there. Just going to cover the whole page here. And when I'm done, I just lift it off. I'm getting some scrap paper and I'm going to plonk down that stencil onto the scrap paper, because then you get two uses or two goes out of the one piece there. So I've got the stencil directly onto the page, and now I also have a bit of scrap paper that I can use in like paste into my art journal. You can rip it up or just paste it directly down as one whole piece. I have some really cheap baby wipes. I go through them so quickly. I could probably buy better quality ones and they would last. You know, you wouldn't have to go through as many. But I've gone for quantity over quality. These ones are really thin, so they don't really, you know, bring up much. But what I'm doing here is then I'm just spreading the paint that's on the stencil, spreading it out over that piece of scrap paper there. The scrap paper is actually the guts of my art journal. So I ripped out, you know, half, 3 or more of the paper, and I use it as collage paper in my journal. There we go. So that probably to some of you turned out probably even better than my straight onto the page thing there. I do usually just use the baby wipes to clean up the stencils, but as you saw with that first one, I hadn't bothered cleaning it up from the last time I used it. Okay, I've got another scrap piece of paper now. I'm going to get another stencil. Ta-da! I don't have many stencils at the moment. I would like to slowly build up my stencil collection. The second technique I'm going to show you now is just misting spray. So you can spray close and you get like a really close, intense color, or you can spray from further away and it spreads out a little bit more. That was the Mr. Huey's spray that I was using in Seafoam. I gotta say that Mr. Huey's isn't my favourite spray. I quite like the Heidi Swap, I think. I'm just grabbing it. Oh yep, Heidi Swap, their Colour Shine. I really like the Colour Shine. And I also have a Tattered Angels spray, which I like as well. So again, I'm pulling off the stencil and whacking it onto a piece of paper. And because I don't want to just whack this straight on my desk, it's a white desk, which is not good. I've got a magazine there that I've just placed down, so I'm going to use that as my protective covering. I mean, it is really easy to wipe off this table, but it's white, sort of. I actually quite like the inverse of that stencil a bit better than, you know, the normal way of using it. I'm not sure normal's the right word for that, but anyway. I've stuck this stencil down again on a third piece of paper, and I'm just using another wet wipe to attempt to clean this stencil. Because the mist spray is, you know, much less intense colour, it really thins it out once you spread it across with a wipe like that. You can actually make your own mist sprays really easy with a bit of paint, a bit of water, and, you know, a cheap travel spray bottle that you can buy at a lot of shops. So I keep all these spare pieces of paper to rip up and things like that in my art journal, which I'll show in a later video, some of the things I'll do with these kind of pages. Sometimes they're just so pretty that I don't want to rip them up, but nothing is sacred, just do it. You never know what the results may be. I keep my stencils right next to my desk here, so they're really easy to grab in a pinch. I find if I can't reach it, then I probably won't use it. This is my newest stencil that I've got now. Chevrons, love the chevrons. And I'm going to try using a different tool to apply the paint. So I've used the paintbrush. Now I am going to get a sponge eventually. There we go, I've got my sponge. It's a bit dirty, this one. Whoop! And stencil moved, but who cares? This one's a bit of a funny stencil. And yeah, as you can see, my paint is a little bit cheap. It doesn't spread on nicely. Looking forward to buying some nice paints, but hey, if you're just starting off, you know, it works just fine. So I'm getting a wet wipe and I've dipped it in the paint, and this is spreading a little bit nicer than what the sponge was for this paint. Oop, need two hands to pull this off, and ta-da! You can see the stencil's moved around a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. It's got a nice clear defined line there. I really like that. I think it looks yummy. And yep, as of course, getting some more work out of it, just plonk it down. Plonk. I've got another wet wipe, and I'm actually trying to clean off this stencil right now, not really trying to do anything to the page itself. I'm just cleaning it off. But as you'll see, because I'm not really moving it onto the paper, it is a little bit of it is actually still going onto the paper, and you can see it's created this really nice, like very subtle effect there It's not intense, but it's really subtle, and I quite like that. And now I'm just cleaning the other side of the stencil and not really giving a damn that it's going on my magazine. That's just my cleaning surface, not trying to do anything for, for my art journal specifically. You never know, this could turn out to something awesome that I would actually use in my journal, and all I'm doing is cleaning up. In any case, there you have it. I've been showing you how to use some stencils today. So the first technique I had was just painting using your acrylic paint, using a paintbrush directly onto the page. The second technique was using misting sprays, so you can spray close, you can spray from far away, you can spray a little, spray a lot, use your spray. And the third technique was using different things to apply your paint. So try sponges, try wet wipes, try whatever the hell you've got. See what works, see what different techniques you can come up with. And of course, don't waste that precious color on your stencil. Get out some scrap paper and press it down. You'll get the inverse, or you'll get the normal if you're spreading it out. Whatever, it looks great. Highly recommended. And of course, finally, you can make your own stencils from found objects. I've actually cut out my own stencils from scraps of paper, cut out love hearts and things like that. So use what you've got to create stencils. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to leave any comments or questions you have below. My name is Carlie from carlie.me, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.